Hey guys, Zath bringing you another episode of Zath's Replay Theater, special edition with Edgecase.
Hello.
And so, just like the last time we did this, we're doing a little bit of a ride along here. This time around, we're testing settings. That last one was with Edgecase getting, what was it called? Discord Stream or something?
Turbo, Nitro, something
Nitro.
fast sounding.
Yeah, I think it was Nitro. And so we kind of thought about it and said, hey, well, what's it going to look like for people that maybe don't want to spend the money for that and instead want to just do a random regular stream. So here is 720 by 30. The last one was 1080 by 30. So you're looking to do independence, huh?
Yeah, I've noticed a lack of carrier games on your channel, so I figured we'd toss one in there along with trying out this new recording setting.
Sounds good. Have you progressed up the line from no, yeah, yes, you have. You got Lexington. Okay. And you got black. I'm so jealous. Um, well, how do you have it set up then?
So at this tier for American carriers, you don't really have a choice. I mean, American carriers never have a choice now. It's only a single config, so there's only one flight control. I am playing the upgraded fighters, dive bombers, and the torpedo bomber stock are tier 6 already. So these are all tier 6 planes.
Mm-hmm.
The consumables, ooh, good catch. Uh, I mean, not that I intend to get set on fire a whole lot, but, you know.
Well, and now with the more recent change to DCP, that actually is very useful to have that premium consumable.
Right. So the change was that carrier damage control parties now are active for 30 seconds. So
Yep.
there's a very long can't burn me again time, which is good. But the reload remains pretty substantial.
Yeah, and it's still just long enough for planes to land and then not be able to take off again. So you have to time it really well if you want to be able to take advantage of that.
Mm-hmm.
What do you? Okay, let's take a look at your upgrades.
So I took the only airplane upgrade.
Yeah,
There was
yeah,
no airplane upgrade.
right.
This one is interesting because American carriers have really, really long reload time on the planes. It's like agonizingly long.
Mm-hmm.
So flight control mod feels like a totally legit choice, except that Independent specifically has this other really big problem, and I think that this may come up during the match, depending on what tier I get, is that it only has a 37 unit hangar. So there are 18, well, 19, 20 planes in the air at a time, and that's more than half of the planes that are on the ship. So if I lose those squadrons, there is less than a full squadron of replacements for each of them.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, I chose more fighter HP, so my fighters will last into the later parts of the game, hopefully. And it also means that being able to relaunch my planes more rapidly is less of a concern because I'm probably just going to be out by the end anyway.
Yep. When I was first working up the lines, I did flight control mod, and um, after making my way through, I realized that a lot of that was a big mistake. Except if I was running the all strike loadouts, which are no longer in existence. So I always buff the fighters. You need that HP. You need that ammunition. So I would agree with you there.
On a midway, I could see maybe an argument for that, but even then, like I probably run this anyway just because I
Well,
want my fighters to do better.
especially since the fighters got nerfed. Yeah, I would definitely do that even more so now.
Right, tier 9 fighters on a tier 10 carrier, so there are no longer tier 10 American fighters, torpedo
Yes.
bombers. Dive bombers will still get you though.
Well, yeah. And propulsion.
I mean, if I gotta pick one, sure. I guess if they catch me at a standstill, I'll run away slightly faster. But if I'm at a standstill, I'm probably gonna die anyway.
And
Independence does have the distinction of being a really fast-moving carrier. It's built
mm-hmm.
on a Cleveland hull, and it moves not quite Cleveland speed, but it's quite good.
It's 32 knots. And yeah, I mean it's just silly. So being able to get up to top speed, yeah, makes sense. And if you get set on fire, if you DCP it and you get set fire, and again, you know, damage control party 2 is probably not, or system modification 2 is not gonna save your ship. So
yeah, I hope to avoid being in that situation, but you never know.
Yeah, keep in mind for those of you watching, when you're on fire on a carrier, it does more HP per tick than, or higher percentage of HP per tick than any other class. So fires are a big problem on carriers, even one of them.
And I guess that would be a good time to check whether I took the. Nope, I did not. All the carrier skills are pretty standard. I think the only ones that are worth talking about are that I took torpedo acceleration, which makes my torpedoes go faster, even
Mm.
airplane launched torpedoes. Um, I didn't take the rear gunner skill because I don't have enough points. This is a 10-point captain.
Yeah,
I probably would take this if I had another point.
yeah, that should be
Although
your
all I'd
next
get
point.
out of it is the fighter ammunition because all the tier 6 carriers I could be matched against have tier 6 fighters.
True, but in a situation where you're against a tier 7 carrier as well, like a double carrier
Yeah,
game,
I hate when that happens.
me too. So, and then you've got your torpedo armament expertise and your air supremacy. I would recommend actually not running torpedo armament expertise, and instead, I would probably be running BFT. And the reason for that is because you want to buff your anti-air to prevent yourself from getting sniped from the enemy carrier. Especially at tier 6 and 7, I find without having the damage, what is it, defensive fire consumable, um, carrier sniping is much more common.
I agree with that.
And I mean, what is
Apparently,
it?
I'm just greedy.
What is it? I think it's a 20% decrease in reload time for your one squadron of torpedo bombers. So, I mean, what are you saving? 6 seconds per.
Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah.
So personally, when you get the free redistribution with the clan battles tonight, personally, I would redistribute and throw that guy on BFT. The other ones are perfectly fine. And then next skill points, I'd probably go with Dogfight Expert. Expert or Gunner, I might not even bother with. Um, Dogfight Expert, and then probably AFT would be the
Yeah,
next.
that seems reasonable. I think what I'll do is, as this guy gets up to 19 points, I'll probably pick up concealment expert. I'll probably get dogfighting expert, concealment expert. That's 5 points, and I got 4 more. So then I'll probably throw
AFT.
them in like BFT or something.
Right.
The one
Well,
skill I will not get though is this thing because it actually just makes your ship worse.
I
It
experimented that.
sounds good, but it's not.
I experimented with that a lot on strike only builds, and it worked really well in that kind of a situation. The problem is, I'd often forget that I had that and forget to manually tell my bombers to go back to the carrier and then land. So it involves a lot more micromanagement going with that skill.
Even with the micromanagement, right? Like for the sake of your viewers who might not play carriers, evasive maneuver means that after a plane drops its ordnance, the bombers drop their ordnance, they will go slower back to the carrier. Like they travel slower on the map because presumably they're like dodging.
Right.
Um, but as a consequence, they're much less likely to get shot down. There's two things that make this a bad talent, though. One of them is that mathematically, the fact that they go slower leaves them in the enemy's anti-aircraft range for longer than the HP increase is worth. So you
Hmm.
actually take more damage anyway.
Yeah. The only time
Uh,
it's useful is if the enemy carrier clicks their fighters and just clicks them and has them
yes.
shoot them. Then it's useful. But if they
Hmm.
strafe, it's not that useful.
Right. And the other reason why this is a bad talent is because, as far as I've been able to tell, and I've like stared pixels at this, the landing animation of your airplanes is
Yes.
also subject to that minus 20% or minus 30% speed. So your
Yes.
planes actually land slower, which makes your cycle time longer. And if your carrier is moving forward at the time, they almost don't catch up with the carrier.
Yes. So fun trick if you are using evasive maneuver, put your carrier in reverse to land them. It sounds stupid, but it actually works.
Yeah, I've had to do that, but I'm not a fan of having to like make my carrier stop and go in reverse to recover my planes.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
So I'm not taking that skill.
Hmm. Yeah, so I would say Like I said, drop torpedo, go for BFT, pick up concealment, dogfight expert concealment, and then AFT is your last one for this guy. And that means that basically you're invincible to carrier snipes, and you're really hard to find. So it's good stuff.
Right. Last couple things externally. I am too cheap to use expensive camos on a tier 6 carrier. I've already XP'd through it, so I don't need any more XP, for example.
Well, not only
Um,
that, but XP gain on carriers is really low anyway. So personally, I don't like to use XP bonusing camos on carriers unless I absolutely have to.
and because I'm hoping to not get shot at, I'm getting extra cheap and only using type 1 camo to decrease the concealment, but not the dispersion.
You got so much of it, you might as well.
Yeah, that's another thing. I have nothing else I can use these on. Signal flags, normally I would use the Clear Skies flag for more AA damage, and I mean, let's face it, my bombers aren't going to shoot down anything anyway, so
Mm-mm.
it's really 10 seconds to my carrier defending it, or 10% to my carrier's self-defense, which isn't bad.
No. But stack with BFT and AFT would be much more effective.
And I would probably throw on some of these. You know what? I got so many of these. Why not?
Chance to detonate growing.
Yep. That's increased by 15% of 0.
Right.
Or 5% of 0.
Because you can't detonate in carriers, lol.
Yep. Carriers are incapable of detonating.
Are you going to auto resupply that?
You are a big spender. You know that?
Yeah.
Terrible influence.
Well, you know.
Yeah, and for flags, I happen to
Yeah.
have Military Month contributor, so I'm going to use that.
Cool. Well, let's let her rip, huh? So I'll say a little prayer for Edgecase is about to get clipped.
Those 4 carriers in the queue, it's going to be a double carrier game. Probably bottom tier.
How about that dogfight expert now?
If I get a Saipan, I'm going to be so mad that I don't have that skill.
Oh,
Oh,
hey!
top tier.
Clubbing time.
Okay, so I don't have a lot of experience in double carrier games because I tend to play tier 8 plus where they're not possible. I do know that Texas is an AA fortress, so I'll try to avoid him in the early game.
Can you turn
Cleveland
on
for sure I have to stay away from.
show my ship? It doesn't matter actually. What was go back over the Texas, take a look at his AA rating. There you go. Yeah, you guys can see that there, 50. What about the New Mex and the New York? Because those captains could be AA build as well. Oh, never mind.
Oh, too slow.
New Mexico can have really good anti-air. New York, not so much. And then, of course, you've got the Cleveland over there, too, I saw.
Yep. So this is Trident. I'm not going to go hide behind this little island. Like, I don't think I need to. The general rule for carrier positioning, in my mind, is that I should be as close to the action as I can while still being completely safe.
Mm-hmm. I would
And since my
also...
spotting goes out to here, like, I don't really want to go too much farther forward than this yet.
Right. Now, in two carrier games, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll take my bombers and I'll put them over by the other carrier, and then I'll try to talk and coordinate with that carrier to try to do a snipey snipe. Because if you can get rid of one of their carriers, it's hilarious.
Now that you mention that, I'm seeing most of my team going pretty hard west, so I also want to go west.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if I move myself up mentally about this far, I'll be spottable from here, and that could be dangerous because that's the midline.
Yep.
So I think I'm gonna do a little one of these dealies.
Yep. Okay, your Tor bombers are about to... There they are.
Yeah, and I'm watching that enemy fighter group over here to make sure that it's not doing anything. Okay, so this is no go.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Cleveland and the Texas that I was worried about.
Mm-hmm.
That means the center should be free, and they've sent all their planes west.
Mm-hmm.
My friendly carrier has his fighters escorting his bombers, and so that'll be a clear shot. And I just need to hit something I can before this fighter group wakes up. Oh no, here they come.
Oh, time to hit the gun canoe.
All right, he looks like he's clicking on my dive bombers, and I'm okay with that because I don't care that much about my dive bombers. And I'm going to try and... This Okotnik is turning, but he's going to have to hard turn if he doesn't want to hit this island, or he's going to have to go down the channel. Oh god, my bombers, my bombers. That might have been a terrible shot.
Yeah, he's gonna probably turn into that. Nice strafe. Oh, he turned away. Haha, you win.
Alright, those two dive bombers aren't going to do anything anymore, so I'm just going to...
Yep. You're detected by planes.
Aha!
Very nice. I'm not that good with the strafes like that. Got some shots coming in on you, possibly. Oh, hey.
Yep. And for these, he looks like he's just letting them auto-return, so I'm just going to set up a strafe straight down the side here.
Yep, rip torp planes.
And then I'm going to get the heck away from this anti-aircraft aura.
Mm-hmm. Look how much
speaking
ammo
of that
you
strafe,
have.
by the way, or the snipe, there it goes. Way too late. I mean, oh, okay. So that guy knows what he's doing. Those bombers split up nicely.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna hurt a lot.
Yeah, he'll probably survive it though. Yep. Just a question of if dive bombers are coming in too.
Mm-hmm. Now I'm noticing that the whole fight is going to rotate clockwise, so I'm glad now that I chose to go the way that I did.
Well, yeah, you got something coming around the flank by itself. What is that,
The
Molotov?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would drop him. He's alone and probably not going to be defended at all. So
that's a good call. This guy has chosen to fly his torpedo bombers back over our entire fleet, so he's probably going to lose those planes.
Mm-hmm.
But he's Zuho, right? Like that's the
yeah.
Well, I mean, it's tier 5 carrier, so he doesn't have as big a reserve either. That might have been an expensive choice, although really where it was going to go. That's like a line.
Right. And that's the risk you take. So.
Yep. And so I suspect that those guys are going to try and strike either this front tip of the formation or this back tip here.
Mm-hmm.
My planes have half ammo, but that should be enough for another defense. And I just noticed, actually, my allies got his planes out here, although they might be going home. So I'm going to gamble that the next strike is going to be the Independence coming this way, and it won't happen for a while.
Mm-hmm. You also have to keep in mind too, well, no, mind, there's no destroyers anymore, so you don't have to worry about that.
All right. Oh, okay, so defensive fire's on.
Yep, return.
Everybody run away.
What I usually do is I'll immediately tell it to go back to carrier at that point. It's a little bit quicker than trying to click on the mini-map.
Plus depends on the angle of the strike, but yeah, I lost 2 bombers because I took too long.
Right. That's okay. Now you just have to wait for that to finish, as he continues to chase after you.
It's a good thing I go almost as fast as he does.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so at this point, this fighter has become the new spotter. I'm trying to give vision to my fleet here, although I suspect they're just all going to shoot that lug all over there. I am concerned by the Cleveland, and here comes the fighter to defend the Molotov. So he bought himself enough time to make this a very unsafe attack.
Well, here comes the fighter to screen his strike, actually. If you go and threaten the bombers, he'll pull the fighter away.
Yeah, so I can come up from like this angle here, and the fighters will... Well, is this the guy who doesn't know how strafe works?
Maybe, but I'd go for the bombers if you can. There we go. See, yeah, he's keeping them all together, so. Oh, this could be dirty. Oh, it's dirty.
Yeah, but now I'm a fighter locked, so I either have to strafe out and lose a bunch of planes, or
now you come in and you focus on doing damage.
So I don't like doing this in Independence. Independence doesn't have the planes to do this well. If this were Midway, I won already, right? Because that thing's got so many planes. On Independence, this might have been too expensive, and that torp might be too short.
No, it'll be okay. I would have probably dropped...
Oh, it turned out. Never mind.
Yeah, I would have dropped torps first, and then gotten him with fire.
Well, so my fighters got wrecked. Oh, they got close. Oh, damn it, the Cleveland's. Okay, well, I no longer have replacements for my fighters or torpedo bombers, and I won't be able to replace the entire dive bomber squadron because that's how this works. I don't know if you guys have noticed, team of mine, that they're taking our base.
Yep, and you're spotted too now.
Yes,
By
by these
air.
bombers. But thankfully this island is here, and I was kind of jockeying for that. Okay, well, nothing to do now but wait, because
Yep.
that super long American plane reload.
Well, part of the problem too is that your carrier is going for the other one is going for a CV snipe right now. And to be honest, if it doesn't work the first time, give up on it. Cause that's just hey.
Yay, the flooding! So I could crash this island here and then just like camp behind it for the rest of the game, or I could keep moving.
I'd keep
Um,
moving.
I'm choosing to keep moving here, also because it's too late. But I feel like I could have gotten away with it maybe. And the wisdom of Zath, yeah, that guy didn't die.
Nope. Well, he dropped his bombs on him right away. He should have kept his bombs out for the DCP on the flood, but and here we have an Emerald YOLO charging a Naruna. You just can't make this stuff up, folks. Oh my god, the Emerald got his torps off.
Yeah, but he shot too far forward. Ah, Cleveland's still here.
Of course he is.
Okay, well, hopefully he used his DF on that. Oh, no, he didn't.
You fool!
Nope.
Bombers coming near you. Yeah, bombers coming in by you.
I can't. I mean, I got to pick, and I don't think the bombers are the way to.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see that there were fighters too.
Oh, that didn't work.
Nope. Oh, you might bag the other set though. Yep.
And our base is capped.
And you lose.
We did indeed lose.
And weren't you talking about how there's a risk to having a terrible game?
Yeah. Well, and then you said that. Well, yes, but at least we can talk about what happened.
So, what happened? Look at your team.
This happened. What the
heck? That's what happened. You almost beat the enemy carrier.
All right. Well, so that aside, I'd say that the plan that game was everybody was going to lemming west, and we were going to destroy anybody that got in our way, and that we were going to do a clockwise rotation, which is a thing that happens on some maps, like on Two Brothers, that one with the little channel down the middle, but otherwise an enormous island in the center.
Yep.
That's totally what happens on that map, right? Like everybody decides to go one direction or the other, then you just rotate. I call it circling the drain. And that could have been what happened here, except that we left literally nobody behind to keep the base from getting capped, and they got to our base long before we got to theirs.
Yes.
Because I guess that which one was it? Was that a Congo or a Haruna or whatever it was up in the corner, upper left, trying to get torped by the Emerald? Drew everybody so far up that they didn't turn in to the other cap.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, our carriers could have held the cap for quite a while, except that there was that, I think, AA build also Cleveland in there.
Yeah,
And you saw what happened as soon as my fighters got anywhere near, or my bombers got anywhere near it, right? Like they just started dropping.
right. And a Molotov we know had defensive fire, and the Legal could have had defensive fire too.
Yep, all three of them might have, and I think at least two of them did.
Mm-hmm.
So the chances of us successfully stopping the cap were basically nothing. And even if we did get a single bomb hit off or something to reset it, we would have lost all the planes. And
Mm-hmm.
I just got done saying how Independence runs out of planes super fast. In fact, my entire reserves were gone already.
Right, but the important thing though is that you ended the game without a lot of reserves, so you used your planes as much as you could.
Yeah, I had pretty much one more good strike, and then I was going to have to do that little straggly two bomber thing, like two planes in my flight for the rest of the game.
One lone torpedo. So, what do you think you could have done differently?
I focused on fleet defense. Like I spent a lot more clicking time on my fighters, and I could have been a little quicker with the bombers. I know I got a couple of them picked off because I didn't extract them from AA range fast enough.
Hmm.
And I think maybe that instead of trying to slow that cruiser push because they all had DF, if I had struck, say, that Congo that was blocking everybody up top, or one of their other battleships, I might have been able to unblock whatever was making my team run up to the north wall.
Hmm.
So, I mean, it would have been totally a lead the Zerg kind of play, but it might
Hmm.
have helped.
So, I have two observations as possible things to consider. One, you didn't communicate at all with the Zuiho, especially, but the team. I mean, you clicked on the minimap a few times, but I think that part where we were kind of spectating that Congo that beached and the Emerald that was YOLO charging, that might have been a good time. Maybe even too late though to say something like, "Guys, check our cap," like something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't a lack of like the map spotting, right? Like they between ships and planes, that east push was spotted the whole time.
Hmm.
But you're right. Maybe directing more people's attention to it using something other than the minimap click would have helped.
Right, and something that I get in the habit of doing whenever I play carrier is I always double click the minimap where I see torpedo and dive bombers. I've just been trained to do that because obviously my fighters can't be everywhere at once. And the thing I hate about playing carriers is that everybody expects your fighters to be over them 100% of the time, and it doesn't work that way. So, oftentimes at the beginning of the match, I'll communicate and say, guys, I'll double click the minimap when bombers are there, but don't expect my fighters all the time. Turn into bombers, basic stuff like that. But, I'll try to alert the team of the threats that are coming. That Independence scored a quick, easy kill on, I think it was your Legao. Um, and he probably wasn't even paying attention.
I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, that was very early in the battle. Um, the other thing with that Zuiho, like I said, if you had wanted to go for a carrier snipe, you and the Zuiho together probably would have taken that carrier out at the beginning of the battle, with his strike and then yours following up after his DCP is out, because you're smart enough and good enough that you would have been able to hit him, probably flood him, and burn him at the same time. So,
When
um,
you 30-second DCP active time, do you stagger it by 30 seconds, or do you just go in and try to get the alpha?
Well, see, the thing is, you were coming in, if you had taken your bombers and flew them over the Zuiho and then up the way, you would have been at least 30 seconds behind his bomber wing. So at that point, you could probably assume, and maybe it's a big assumption, that his bombers succeeded in starting some sort of dot, damage over time, to where he would have popped his defensive or his damage control party.
Okay, so a 30-second staggered attack, but using the natural difference in distances to get the 30 seconds.
Exactly. If you were concerned about that, then obviously you'd want to go in with your torp bombers first, and then your dive bombers second or whatever. But in a 1v1 situation, you absolutely want to stagger your bombs. You're absolutely correct. But in a 2v1 situation like that, you know, um, you could probably assume, and that's where I think communicating with him would have been helpful. You could have said, "Hey, did you start a fire? Did you start a flood or anything like that?" And then you could use the clock to figure it out.
That's fair. On the initial approach, I definitely was playing very cautiously. Like when we spotted that, what was the Okotnik, I think?
Yeah,
Because I saw the other Independence's fighters coming in, and I had no idea if this guy is like a, like a secret pro, or if this is like his first time in the carrier.
right.
So I played real cautiously and assumed that he was gonna do some fancy strafing or something. So I just wanted to dump the bombs and get out.
It's my experience that there aren't that many super unicums that want to play independence. So, I mean, for me, it would be
I
safe
think
to.
you may have a point there. Yes.
I would assume that the independence is learning as opposed to dominating. I personally, I mean, I'd pick the Ryujo if I wanted a Seal Club at tier 6, but I don't know that I'd care to.
It's been a long time since I've played that ship.
Yeah, well, I mean, you did good. So, you know, I can't think of any other, you know, real concerns there. I mean, you took out the Molotov when he was out by himself, and that was good. You know, you got that lucky strike at the start on the Ohotnik that decided to turn the wrong way. So, lol to that one. So, yeah.
All right. Well, better luck next time, I guess.
Pretty much, yeah. So I'm gonna cut the video now, I guess. Oh yeah, we could look through the other tabs. As far as quality, we were talking about video quality. Obviously, it's harder to read the text, but for the most part, it was perfectly clear. I didn't see any artifacting or anything like that. So I think you know, Discord Nitro is not required to do this, but it helps.
I'm glad to hear that.
All right, well, guys, I hope you enjoyed watching our second test here with Edgecase. And you know, maybe chime in your comments. What would you have done differently? It'd be interesting to see what you guys think about it. And like, subscribe, send replays, and if you want to try this, look me up. I'm on Discord. I'm on the forums. We can get this set up.